Hey everybody, Yule here. Last night on Fantastic Comics Presents, which airs every Tuesday at 8, I forgot to take down some artwork, which blocked the artwork I was trying to show you as I was reviewing comics that were coming out today. This is that review, or those reviews, and it now has the artwork. So if you are at all interested, stay tuned, and this part of the show is now fixed. We're going to start off with Spider-Man, but first I have to share the screen. And oh, you know what? Before I do that, let me get just the tiniest amount of music. There you go. That sounds good. So this is comics that are coming out tomorrow. I'm not gonna spoil too much. I don't want to do that. I want you guys to read it and be excited. But first and foremost, I've been doing pretty well on Spider-Man as far as sales are concerned. John Romita Jr. is doing a really good job, and although Zeb Wells isn't really doing too much to answer the questions that started off this series, I mean, he's just been like really sprinkling them out, barely at all. He's been doing a good job as far as tying in Norman Osborn's trying to, rehabilitate himself to be a good dude. And then we have the Hobgoblins showing up, and they bombed a building. And I say they because now at the end of the last issue, there's more than one of them, and that's how the story starts off. Well, the story actually starts off in the hospital room of Norman Osborn as he's watching on his computer feed Spider-Man getting messed up by these goblins. And most of this comic is just hot and heavy action. Two different hobgoblins using their different armaments to explode Spidey out of the way. It's too much for him, even with his spider sense and 2 tons carrying capabilities. These goblin gliders have, slicing capability. And but because with Norman's help, Spider-Man has his own glider, a spider glider. You like that? Spider glider. Called Bug. And I think somebody in the Micronauts or in the Microverse might be a little upset about that. Anyway, this big old fight scene, it's been building to this over the last few issues. The Vulture, and not only that, what I've really enjoyed about this series so far is that even with the Spider Glider, we see the vulnerability of Spider-Man in the air. Previously, the Vulture really messed him up, and if for any reason, dude's spider sense isn't, honing in, he's very susceptible. And I've been enjoying the way that these action scenes have been playing out, especially since that's the entirety of the book. Yeah, but anyway, this is a pretty awesome issue. I totally dug it. Poor Bug gets blasted, and Spider-Man's really getting messed up. And then that's when Norman Osborn finally decides to don his first appearance, everybody. First appearance. Don his brand new costume. And I'll leave it there at that. This is a really good issue. You should come on in and pick it up. Fantastic Four #1 by Ryan North and Iban Coelho. I'm only going to show you 2 pages. This is a town that's trapped in 1947, July 12th, 1947. And the day continuously replays. But we don't really realize that until Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters show up for the first time. Now, I was going to prepare this whole montage of how the first goddamn thing that screwed up the Fantastic Four series prior to this was that there was no Fantastic Four. They had not been on Earth all together at the same time for like since the Secret Wars when Hickman did that. And the first issue of a Fantastic Four series finally coming back after all that time, 5, 6 something years, maybe not even that long. It was monumental. I mean, it was Fantastic Four is the world's greatest comic magazine as far as Marvel's been selling me my entire life and other people longer. So to not have them as one of their main titles, to not have the Uncanny X-Men as we know it as one of the main titles back in those days, when just because Fox owned them or Sony or whoever, that they downplayed their comic books. Ludicrous. So we're finally getting Dan Slott and Sarah Pichelli on art, and it's a double-sized issue, and there's no reunion of the Fantastic Four. That's not a good move. Everybody hated that. And the series floundered for a while and never really found its footing regardless. Then the pandemic happened, Empire sucked, blah, blah, blah. That's where we're at. But now we have a new start with Fantastic Four. We've got Alex Ross on covers. We've got an untested mainstream author on the book that has a fan following in Ryan North. He also has, detractors. But we have a good artist. How's this book going to play out? And it's all Ben Grimm and Alicia Masters. But I want you guys to all know, pick the book up. It's good. It is got the whole Groundhog Day, Twilight Zone thing going on for it. There are a bunch of people that do all sorts of things as far as, there's this monster in town in 1947. But when they finally get to the crux of everything, I think it's a really good, fun, nice story. And at the end, we have enough of a mystery to wonder what's been going on. Kind of the opposite of how Spider-Man started. It was all mystery and nothing played out. And this is all Ben Grimm and Alicia in a pseudo mystery, leaving us off with the cliffhanger of what happened. So I'm definitely going to be reading the second issue. I think you all should pick this one up, and it's out tomorrow. And Wildcats. You have many, many covers. This is the main. You might not know all these characters. You might not have read the Jim Lee series back in the day. It might not be in print collected wise. But there's a darn good chance I have a bunch of the issues in my back issues. Did you know Alan Moore wrote this book at one time? Good artists that are clones of Jim Lee, like Ryan Benjamin, worked on the books. Travis Charest didn't get his first start here, but when he started becoming a really good illustrator, he was working on Wildcats. You should check Wildcats out. It was always sort of convoluted, but the important thing is they were able to, and this issue, Matthew Rosenberg, a writer I'm not usually that fond of, mostly because I just don't care about the stuff that he's working on. He gets a chance to retell the origin of the Carabin and the Damonites, and he does it all in one really nice page. And then we get a Hive laboratory, and for anybody that knows Hive, they're like an AIM minus. Well, I guess they're pretty much like an AIM of the DCU. They're super scientists that aren't cool. Anyway, Grifter's here with some other people, Zealot, the Wildcats basically, and they're here to try and capture, abscond with a scientist. And this battle where we pick up, it starts off with Grifter trying to talk this guy down rather than approach him physically, and then Zealot just comes in and slices the dude off, apart. Also, a lot of people didn't like the mask that Grifter was wearing. He does smoke though, and that's a distinct difference between DC Comics and Marvel. Oh, here's said scientist that Grifter and the Wildcats are supposed to be picking up, and he's like, "What's your deal?" And he shows him, and then he kills this monkey. And then Grifter's like, "I don't really dig that," so he shoots him, and that screws everything up. They go back to home base, and this is the interesting thing: Nightwing and Batgirl show up right as they were leaving. So this is the first time the Wildcats, however they're being presented to us, have actually been in the DC universe. Grifter has been in the DCU. Zealot's been in the DCU. Voodoo had her own series and stuff like that. They were all part of Team 7 or whatever team number that they had. And they try to put in like DC characters back in the New 52 days, but none of it really stuck. And as far as the team is concerned, it's always been kind of like an Elseworld universe. Anyway, Marlowe, I think this is the first time we've seen him. Jack Marlowe, he's the short guy. He's really pissed off about everything that's going on. He too smokes. And we see the business, they're setting up in Star City, yada yada yada. Where's Cole? Oh no, before that, the Void, a little bit different than what we know her to be like. She's the teleporter of the team, and yeah, I think the art's pretty good. Obviously, it's not like really really inked. It's like computer inked, and I just that's like one of those things you have to kind of like live with. I don't know if the book is actually pencil on paper or if it's digital or whatever, but I think for the most part it looks pretty good. And now Cole is out. That's Grifter, for those of you that don't know. He's going out and he's actually scouting, but people don't know that. And then he's getting into a bar fight, and this is where it ends for us here. Green Arrow shows up. I think that's pretty cool too. I don't think there's really a whole lot of story. Oh, I hope you were able to see any of that. Well, if you weren't, that's too bad. Shit. Let me do this. All right. Yeah. Oh, well. I'll fix it in post. Believe me when I say it was pretty awesome. And that's new comic book day tomorrow. And there you go. Let me turn this music off. All right. Let me put my camera on. Wow. That's what happens. I should have looked at my phone just once. Well, trust me, all of that sounds really good because this is an audio podcast more than anything. So like visuals aren't really all that important. It is 1 hour in. I think this is a pretty good time for me to let's do this. All right, it's almost the end of the show, but we still got a little ways to go because we're gonna head on down to Mother's basement. Since I seem to have all this time, and why not? So we'll do that in just a moment. But this is the time when I like to let everybody know about our patrons that are there for us. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We don't ask for much. We ask what can you do? That's all we ask. And we do what we can do, which is very little. So we really appreciate it. Mostly it's like ex-customers, friends of the store, family, some people that like the show. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. You're awesome. And everything's fantastic comics, whether it be social media. You can probably find us. Anyway, fantastic comics. It's run. Don't worry. Yeah, so there you go. We're going to, let me see, did I get this done? I don't think I actually got it done, so it's going to look a little All right, there's a chance. There's a chance that this is going to be all out of order, which would be like, for the most part, pretty typical for any time I've done something like this. What are you going to do? Let me play this.
Here! I'm down here! Down here!
Mr. Sheldon?
All right. We're going to talk about Batgirl number 37. I think this was before Rebirth. Yeah, it says the New 52. Yeah, it's still the New 52. Within the pages of the New 52, there was an artist creative team change with Brandon Fletcher, Cameron Stewart, and Babs Tarr on art. And Babs Tarr, if I'm remembering correctly, initially got famous for drawing characters, I think, on like a Patreon thing, selling them at shows, doing like Sailor Moon and stuff like that. I can't remember exactly if she was aging them up or anything like that, or just being true representations. But I think Babs Tarr is a pretty darn good artist working on Batgirl. I don't necessarily think that the design of the character was that big a deal. A lot of people I've heard, God, is it a lot of people? I've heard what I consider a lot of people that are talking about cosplay, so it's not a lot, would consider that the new Batgirl outfit was kind of one that anybody could wear, and even better than that, anyone can make. And the first thing you do is, buy some docs, paint him, yellow. And it's like this, this armor piece. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. Double Exposure, issue 37 of Catwoman, just to let you all know, the people creating this, Brendan Fletcher, Cameron Stewart, Babs Tarr, they got in a little bit of hot water for this social media style. And you wouldn't have expected these people to ruffle anybody's feathers. So we see Batgirl partying up with these ladies that obviously are up to no good. And it's like, WTF, you know what I mean? And they're like snapping on Pictogram, and they're bad-mouthing people and hitting cars and drinking. And that's when this little thing is thrown on the car and it stops. And then while they're arguing and not looking, Batgirl swings down and captures other Batgirl? What the? Wow, that's crazy. And they get in a little bit of a fight, but I guess a Molotov cocktail is thrown from the car. And I usually crop these pages, although I don't think I did towards the end of this. But I wanted to also point out, this lady does not look happy modeling the Superman shirt at all. I think they cheaped out on the modeling. I do not expect that when Tyra Banks is involved. So they should have got their act together, whatever this company is. Batgirl goes home, or I guess to her home base, where this like dude is, I guess, her Q. She kind of makes fun of him, but then he says, "I made that device that stalled that car out." Anyway, Dagger Type is the artist that's being talked about. And she's all, Dagger Type, what? Blah, blah, blah. And for whatever reason, that's what this is all about. Babs is going out with her friends to this art exhibit because she has one of these friends that she's with here got the tickets. So we have this blonde and this brunette and this lady with crutches. And they see a mutual friend outside who is not with them, but with a dude instead. And it sounds like they really want to be involved in going in, but Babs is lucky enough to have had a friend that was able to get her in. So, like, fuck off, you know what I mean? Anyway, she got inside and she's like, "What's this all a bit about?" And it's all about Batgirl, Dagger Type. This dude is like super exposing her in front of, like, the art world, don't you know? And oh, that must be Dinah, uh, uh, Black Canary, that's laughing at her because she says "blah." And anybody that's in the know knows that you have to say "bwahaha" for anybody in DCU, really, but definitely the Justice League back in the funny days. But that's you can laugh only so long because then there's a painting that's called "Vulnerable," and that's said by the lady with the crutches. I just did a close up for y'all because this has always been a problem with superhero comics. You want to do a poignant story where Batgirl gets shot and the injury is lasting, but you're in a world where there's a Dr. Fate, and even though he's not surgically repairing you, he could probably do something about your spine. And dude, Batman's got so many like electric things that make him work. And I'm sure he has like exoskeletons and stuff like that. I think they even used that like as an excuse back in the New 52 when it started up. What It's so weird. Like they did it was like it was kind of lame that she would like remain paralyzed. But since they did it and they seem to do it so well, especially in Birds of Prey, when Batgirl became Oracle, when Barbara Gordon became Oracle, she really grew as a character and was more involved and had more of a voice than she ever did when she was riding around on a motorcycle or swinging on a rope. So when they did the New 52 and they took her out of the wheelchair, there was a lot of people that read comics. A lot of people. One or two in my store. So like how many is that per store across America? Not even, I'm sure. But there were people that saw strength in that character, and for her to get up and walk around and oh, that bullet didn't do that much. It's people die and come back to life. Why would she still be in a wheelchair if she died and come back to life? Stuff like that. Nonetheless, this is only one of the times that Barbara Gordon's tragedy at the hands of Joker has been exposed in a comic book during this time. But this is also not the reason why anybody was attacked in social media for this comic book. And this is where I start getting lazy with my cutting out the advertisements on the other side. Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, corners this lady and gets the information about Dagger Type and where he is. Well, it doesn't actually. What she gets is that fact that this is an anonymous situation, and there's this like Uber Lyft or it's called Omnicab that brings the art pieces to the gallery. And so Batgirl goes to Omnicab, and I see here this is where some screw up she goes and gets some information, and there was a clue that was left by this glittery black Batgirl, and then the fighting goes on. Wow, I hope you were able to see any of that John Romita stuff. Oh, damn, I have to clip that stuff and fix it up. Anyway, this is the fighting going on. The mask comes off, and then we find out Batgirl is Dagger Type? What? And this is where everybody got their panties in a bind, because Dagger type's a man portraying themselves as a woman, and there's the villain that can't handle there being two Batgirl. I don't know. It was a mess when I had it explained to me. When I read this, it just seemed like a pretty okay story. I don't think like the action and the drawings were all that super great, but it told the story. Here, Barbara almost gets shot, and it looks like she's dead. But then she goes back to the this art soul show where Batgirl is going to be revealed, and she shows up as her civilian self, and she confronts Dagger type. Oh yeah. Oh, Dagger type comes out and is like, "I'm Batgirl," and everybody's making fun of them. And so gets all violent, starts shooting up the joint, and then that's when Barbara takes over, and she actually is able to get the upper hand because her Q guy in the very beginning gave her a cell phone with a super flash on it, and it could blind you momentarily. I would suggest that maybe with all that glitter also, shouldn't it have bounced back at Babs? But maybe she had her eyes closed there. Oh, she does a little bit. So yeah, she says it. There you go. Perfectly okay story for me. Any of the holes that were in there, it was only because I wasn't reading close enough. Oh, and then there's that cute little Kanye moment. I need my phone call. I need to call Kanye. That's what Dagger type says on the way out. Little does Dagger type know that even that's not going to help you anymore. And with that, that's Batgirl 37. I thought it was an okay issue. It wasn't the worst thing I ever read, and I personally thought it was super believable. Everybody wants representation. Well, we need some representation in the villain community also. And I've actually been seeing people express that type of thing because it gets boring to get the same type of villain. Sometimes nationality or color does make a difference because we hear that it does. So like motivations would be different also, right? Um, is this happening before or after Batman's current run? Definitely before Batman's current run. This is oh wait, yeah, before Tom King's Batman, definitely. Oh, you figured it out. Didn't Babs Tarr, the artist of Batgirl, show up at Fantastic Comics in the past? More than one occasion, but that was in our bigger store. And before she moved to, I think she went back home, and I think it's like, see, this is my problem. I don't, I should travel more. But even if I did, I don't know if I know county lines or state lines or even like, the groupings quite so much. But she, I think, was North Carolina, if I'm not mistaken. That's going to be my guess right here. Anyway, she moved back home. She was living in, I think, Southern California for a while. She went like moved to San Francisco, LA, and then went back home. That type of thing. Was Babstar canceled some time ago, or was it a Nothing Burger? She actually got it a second time. This is how ridiculous it gets. So I think that was a very innocent story. And it was interesting also. Oh, there's a reveal, and it's the dude. It's the artist that's the dude also. Whoa, that's kind of a thing. This person's so obsessed with Batgirl that they want to become Batgirl, and they do all this shady stuff. And I don't know if there were like previous issues where there was like a question about this character or not. So I'm going in with just this one issue. But I mean, we have to be able to try and tell a different type of story or an interesting story. It wasn't that super interesting, but I remember the argument against it is also just as not interesting, because I remember back when that Michael Caine Dressed to Kill. Spoilers, it's Michael Caine.
um, awesome movie. You would never guess the ending, that type of stuff. Of course you will. Nowadays, uh, just like that Fantastic Four has a element of Groundhog Day. I don't want you to go in and like halfway through and go, oh, just reading Groundhog Day, blah 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 blah. Some of it is played for the extra pages, but I mean, there's a real story that's going on there, and I enjoy it. But Babstar also was doing. It was, how today is Kyle Day. I just heard this on the radio with Jill earlier today, sports talk radio. So of course they're not talking about sports. You know how like it's National Groundhog Day or National Hot Dog Day or National whatever day. It's National Kyle Day today. So there you go. It's November 8th is National Kyle Day. So everybody that's Kyle should feel very good about themselves. You've got probably some sort of Scottish or Irish blood in you, or at least somebody thinks it's a great name. But there was a day where you're supposed to like show your, artistically show your idealized self or something like that. And so Babs drew herself as a superheroine. And she had a good tan on too. Nothing that would suggest anything. You know what I mean? This isn't an Always Sunny episode or anything like that. But sure enough, people had problems with her skin tone. And there you go. It's just like when, who's that singer? The woman who's a heavier woman, and then she lost weight, so people said she was anti herself or something like that. The one who did the James Bond music. I don't know. Jill, tell me. And it's like what you can get people upset about you for anything, for sure. I only knew an Asian Kyle in my history. Wow, there you go. Well, that's I don't want to get it. Adele, thank you very much. Or I don't think Rebel Wilson is not a singer. Okay, very good. No, it was Adele. You're right. There you go. So she lost weight, got I shouldn't say it. See, that's the problem. She got looking good. Saying she looked good. She looked fine before. Oh Jesus. I'm a fat slob and I know it. And I'm gonna start doing Adele's thing. So less beer for sure, I'm sure. You can hold me to it at the store every Wednesday through Sunday, 12 to 5 p.m. Thank you very much for showing up, everybody. I really appreciate it. It was fun. And I got some more work to do on this thing, obviously. Stick around. I'm going to play a song. What do you think about that?
Lucy and Ramona cruising through the jungles of L.A. Hoping to promote a dream somewhere along the way. They're rolling through the streets, looking for a disco, passing up the trees from a kid named Cisco, trying to make connections with their blemish-free complexions, and just as fate would have it, ended up with Sunset Sam. Sam was selling watches from a suitcase on a TV tray. And Lucy and Ramona kept trying to figure The three of them were standing, staring at each other, when the light behind their eyes blew each other's cover. The ancient code was branded, and each of them was handed a ticket to their kingdom, 'cause they saw their brother sunset sun. Lucy was from Compton, and she met Ramona at the zoo. Ramona was from Brooklyn. She left when she was 22. Sam was a native of the Arizona desert, but he split when he was slated for some governmental make-work. Their differences subsided when the common bond was sighted. They were all from the same place that made the famous sunset sound. Lucy and Ramona and Sunset Sam. People on the streets trying to find a plan. People on the streets looking for a land. Lucy and Ramona and their brother Sunset Sam. Yes, sir, Lucy and Ramona and Sunset Sam. People on the streets trying to find a plan. People on the streets just looking for the land. Lucy and Ramona and their brother Sunset Sam.
It's late. I should probably just go home.
I had no idea. Hey, Jerry! Look what I got!